Today in this video we are going to discuss about the very important topic that most of us are confused or are thinking that it is a very important topic to be discussed about: veganism versus feast eating. People often say that feast eating is very much safer compared to that of the veganism, where we are dependent on the plant based diet. But I will be explaining you not using any sort of illogical arguments. I will be getting very much logical and very much accurate to the right points, and will be covering it out in this video. So let's start this particular video. The first and the foremost thing that you need to understand out is the difference between lossy and lossless. Like, you here, when I talk about lossy, what do I mean it is that 50% is what we basically people tell that for basic plant, when it is grown in agriculture, humongous amount of insects, either vertebrates or invertebrates, are killed every single time. But the basic thing to understand is that people, when tell about fish eating, understand that 50% and 50% is what it is division, i.e. half and half is the actual division. What do I mean by this particular thing is that 50% of the fish is actually grown using aquaculture, and that is a complete lossy. Lossy means, what does it mean? Means when you grow a single fish, and when you eat it, one fish is eaten plus agricultural crops. Like, I will tell you in the very future of this particular video, that for agriculture you will be killing out, suppose, 10 insects. That means in total you are killing out 11 insects here. And here, when in agriculture, for assume you are killing 10 insects, so that this particular part where aquaculture is used is completely lossy. Lossy means it cannot even go into the comparison with the right part where you are comparing it with agriculture. So I will be completely ignoring this part because it is completely illogical to discuss this part. Why? I will also be giving you some better logic in this particular video. Here people say that catching out fish directly from oceans is much better, because in this case it will be very much beneficial, because you will be killing out one single fish, and one versus single is much ahead. But my dear friend, what you are hiding is completely hidden, and you do not go and jump into that particular thing. Let me tell you what it is. Here the 50% is what I will be telling, that people tell that it is lossless, and 50%, since we grow them, the aquaculture is the method. This is not the part the part of our debate actually. So let us deep dive into it. People say that we should be eating out fish, but this particular logic, what happens. I'm talking about that lossless part, because already I'm telling it, I'm repeating out this particular thing, that talking about lossy is just wastage of time, nothing else. Their complete plant-based diet wins over infinitesimal times. So here, when we talk about lossless, people say that we should be eating out fish, but this is completely wrong. When we catch fish for eating, in that particular case, I have written it in Hindi. This means that along with the fish that we catch using our nets, using a lot many different things, in that particular case, what actually happens is that ocean fish are not caught alone. That is what I have written. Along with them, the nets are used. The nets are sometimes as bigger as than that of the football size of the football, and they completely scrap the ocean floor. Here I have written 10-20 gears for coral. Means what I have written here is that when the nets that we use to catch fish in the oceans, in that particular case, what actually happens is the nets that we use, they completely scrap out the ocean floor. And in that case, what actually happens is that they do not only destroy, or they do not only catch the fish, they destroy the coral reefs, they destroy the other animals like tortoise, they also destroy other small fishes a lot, and these all are killed during this particular process. If not killed, they are just shown the path that they are going to be killed, nothing else. Because once you catch them in the net, they are of no use else, because they are completely died. They means they are in the path to die. What I mean is that, let me tell you, let me show you what actually mean by the particular coral reefs. When people here actually can tell that it is better to kill coral reefs than that of killing to that of the insects, right? Here agriculture, and here it is the part of fishery, that lossless. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you a particular thing when you will be coming out that killing out insects is very bad, rather we can kill the coral reefs. Let me tell you what the coral reef is actually. Here I will be telling. Here I have already talked about commercial fishing, how fish get from the high seas to your supermarket. Commercial fishing is cruelty to the animals on a colossal scale, killing hundreds of billions of animals worldwide every year, far more than any other industry. Today, commercial fishers use massive ships the size of football fields and advanced electronic equipments to track fish. These enormous vessels can stay out of sea for as long as 6 months, storing thousands of tons of fish on board in a massive freezer departments. This industry has decimated our ocean system. In fact, 90% of large fish populations have been exterminated because of the enormous number of animals caught. Okay, so let me discuss about what are coral reefs. Here you can see about the commercial fish. Look here. A coral reef is a massive underwater ecosystem built by colonies of tiny marine animals called coral polyps. Over time, these polyps build hard protective exoskeletons out of calcium carbonate. When they die, their hardened skeletons form the structural foundation of the reef. How they work, the builders. The colorful living part of the reef is a thin layer of animals that extract calcium from the ocean to form their stony homes. Why they matter? Because marine diversity, often called the rainforest of the sea. You know rainforest, what does it mean? Rainforests are very much important for humans also, and for animals that survive in the water. The coral reefs act as a rainforest of the sea. They cover less than 1% of the ocean floor but support over 25% of the all marine species. And you are taking coral reefs out just for fishing out the fish actually. Coastal protection. The complex structure of reefs break ocean waves, protect coastlines from erosion, storms, and flooding. Human value. They support global industries like tourism, fisheries, and provide compounds used in medical treatments. You know, when you talk about the coral fisheries is here talk. Okay, but what I have said is that when you are going out for the coral reefs, then you are going out for the coral reefs. I have already discussed. Means when you are killing out, when you are taking out the coral reefs in the lossless decomposition or in the lossless fishing, here it is complete loss for ourselves. What I want to tell is that killing out coral reefs is much bad than that of the killing of the insects. That is the simple argument. I am also showing you why it is important. Look, according to sentient, which is best to kill, an insect or coral reefs? Okay, let me show you what actually it shows. When deciding which is better to kill between an insect and a coral reef, the consensus across the sentient ethics is that killing, let me wait for a while, that killing a coral reef is far worse. Insects exhibit active learning, pain avoidance, and consciousness, where coral polyps are simple invertebrates that do not experience pain or conscious thoughts in the same way. You can read out this particular thing. I am just telling you in the summary. Therefore, from both an individual sentience and a habitat preservation standpoint, killing a coral reef causes significantly greater overall harm. Means I have given you an argument that tells that even though we are taking this particular lossless fishing in our consideration, but altogether this lossless fishing is also very much harmful for the fishes along with the ocean overall environment, because they kill out the rainforest of the oceans that are coral reefs. Okay, so that is one of the thing. Also I have observed a lot many things. For every pound of fish caught, millions of tons of overall sea animals, coral reefs, sea turtles, and sharks are affected. You know, this is humongous. I will also tell you, even though I just leave out all the arguments on the one side or the one corner of the house, and we simply assume that we can eat fishes for our survival, living out plant-based diet or meats, anything else, because that's what our main goal is. Then in that case, if 8 billion people, if all eat fish, then whole of the seafood will last only for a single month. You know, single month, what does it mean? Means only in a single month all the fish actually from the ocean will get vanished, completely vanished. Here we have written to feed 8 billion population, you again go back to aquaculture. Means you go back to aquaculture because we have talked about, we have already divided. Here we are talking about lossless, and for lossless, when 8 billion people of all huge oceans fees, because we are talking about lossless, in that case what happens to feed 8 billion people. If you choose the path that is lossless, that in that case you cannot actually feed out all the people living on this planet. In that case you will have to go back on this particular path. This is aquaculture, this is lossy for ourselves. This is what my argument is. Means even if you consider that eating fish is a very safe and viable way, in that case you will face humongous amount of problems. Means you will go back again to the aquaculture, and about aquaculture already, I have already told that it is completely lossy, because here you kill 11 animals at the very least, as compared to that of the agriculture where you kill 10 animals. And do not assume this a single value 10 and 11 as a single valued difference. No, when you will take the consideration of millions, trillions, quadrillions, you will observe out that particular difference of a single value raises up to an infinite extent. That is why it is very much important. I am also showing you some sort of videos, rather I will be giving out in the description animal equality. That particular video shows how in Italy every single year, because of some sort of festival, a lot many blue tuna fish are caught and killed, and the way they are killed is completely mind-boggling. This must not be done with the animals altogether, because this is some sort of shocking, astounding. It actually is very much, when I saw that particular video, it was like very much painful for me to see that animals who are not able to speak are treated in this particular way. Here meat eating is obviously out of the game, because every single year 50 billion chicken, 1.5 billion pigs, 1 billion sheep and goats, 1.2 billion rabbit and 0.3 billion cattle are killed just for us. That equals to that of the 53.9 billion in total, the number I am talking about. You can think of, it is not fish, it is just about the animals that we do slaughter every single year. That is one of the thing. I have already discussed about lossy and lossless part. Also I am telling you about 4 types of actually the insects and all the killings that are divided into 4 parts. Type 1 is very important, means it is of infinitesimal, it is actually of our extent that matters for us. Type 2, this is about the level, consciousness level and all the factors. Type 3 and type 4, scientists say that this is not practically possible to avoid them at the very same time. Scientists consider this just to be very much human to the insects. That is why they do consider this is important thing. So I am also telling you this particular thing, commercial fishing, 1 to 2 trillion fish are killed annually, 1 to 2 trillion fish. I will also be showing you that people tell that quadrillions, or actually very amount of insects are killed in the agricultural process. I will also be showing you the exact number. Wait for a while. Okay, excluding by catches, and here what I have written, I do not mean but by catches and something like sea turtles and all the things that are affected just because of the fishing. What do you mean by bycatch? Let me tell you. I have discussed about this particular thing, sentient analysis. I have discussed about trawling. I will be discussing about it. Here are invertebrates, and I guess here it must be coral reefs, and this is YouTube. Let me show you. Wait for a while. There is some sort of let me search for a while. Let me search for bycatches. Let me search. I will be proving out using every single direction, every single thing, that how it is very much harmful for us. Bycatch is an incident capture of unwanted or non-targeted marine life during commercial fishing. This means that when you catch a fish, you do not only catch a fish. I have already discussed about it. It means you catch unwanted or non-targeted marine life during commercial fishing. Commercial fishing means when you deep dive into oceans for your food. This is what it mean. This is what it mean actually. So this is what I have discussed. This is what I have actually discussed here. Means you kill humongous amount of animals along with when you fish out for yourself. And I'm talking every single thing about lossless part. Even the lossless part is getting directioned into the lossy part actually. That is what I wanted to discuss. I will also give the actual logic for every single thing. Wait for a while. I will be covering out every single part. Here I have done. Now let us choose out the right path. Why people actually tell that you can eat fish, or like you can eat fish, because versus agriculture, the basic reason, as a human we are having a very natural tendency to just draw a boundary. What is happening behind the boundary, what is actually happening behind the boundary, it does not matter. Even if animals are killed, even if animals are slaughtered, anyway anything is done to them, just if we get a simple part of a chicken, nothing matters for us at all. It matters that we are getting this to eat. We are getting a simple fish which has been boiled out, we get simply to eat. That is what it means. Then that people defend out that eating fish is very much logical. You do not know what actually happens inside the ocean when you catch fish using the lossless part. What I am talking, and I am continuously pressurizing, I am continuously focusing out on the lossless part actually. So this is what it means. Our natural tendency is that we do not focus. We treat it as a loophole about which meat eaters talk, that but it is actually very much false. Why it is false, I have already discussed out, and I will be also discussing later in this part. So most people tell that when you will be doing out agriculture and that stops, you will be killing out a lot many insects. My dear friend, it's not needed anymore now. Why I am telling you in this particular video? Because I am discussing out not necessary anymore, because the amount of land that we are using to feed up the livestock will be free for us now. Example, out of 100% soy production, roughly 77% to 80% is used for livestock and 7% is nearly used for humans. This particular 7% number shows that what amount of actual food is getting invested into feeding the animals just to feed back them as our food. That is very much important. So deforestation is also mainly for meat. If we stop eating cattle, animals, fish, 75% of the land used for cultivation will be free, and I will be also sharing out the resources from where I have just taken them. So that is why it is very much important. If we stop eating cattle, animals, fish, 75% of land for us will be completely free. Means there we can grow forest back again, we can use them, because only 25% of land is enough for us. If not, assume 30% is enough for us to feed the people. No more land is required, no more mass extinction or just deforestation is needed at all. This size is actually how much? 75% of land size of North America and Brazil combined. Means this particular land will be free, completely free for us, completely free for us. This is very much important. Here it is what I have used as a reference, I have already attached it, you can look out. So the basic facility that fish eater get is the difference land. I have written it. Animals on the land, animals killed, insects and all. Means when you talk about agriculture, you consider about this. I have already answered this particular part, that we do not need to kill any more insects, invertebrates or anyone who is living inside the earth. Okay, and when you talk about that, what will be the pollution? No, it will not be needed anymore, because the amount of pollution that we are doing consists of 75% that is used for livestock, animals, cattle, at plus 25% for humans. So the pollution will also decrease many folds. That's the important thing. And when we talk about oceans, destruction is measured in terms of the what actually facility fish eaters also get. One of the facility is that it is not visible. Visibility is the most important thing. Second, visibility, the land animals, or actually the agriculture that we are doing here, we count the number of the animals that are killed using their lives. Okay, the value of their lives. But when you talk about fish, or actually the ocean part, here we do not count it in the terms of lives. I have observed it. Here we count in terms of loss of the biomasses, and biomass do not have exact number like 2 fishes are living here, 3 fishes, because coral reefs is actually not enough to define out the number of fish that actually live inside, and they are feeded actually, or they actually coral reef works as a home for them. That is what the facility the fish eaters get, and use it as a loophole, either in terms of visibility or in terms of the destruction, that it is measured in the terms of the biomass, means tons of the destroyed organic matter. Okay, so This is what I wanted to discuss about. If there is some sort of query, you can ask to me. I will always be there to reply you. I will also be sharing out some sort of citations, or actually the verses, or actually the quotes that I have learned, worked out. Let me just show you. Here we are talking about industry model, total estimated dates, and the math. Optimized plant agriculture, feeding humans only 75% less land. In every single year, vertebrates plus invertebrates to 2.5 quadrillion, drops significantly because humans consume far fewer total crops than billions of factory farmed animals. I have also not shared you one particular thing. Like if 8 billion population is fed onto fish, then it's practically not possible also. Even for single month it's not possible. You know why? Because the plant based diet is very much calorie based. I guess calorie based, it is very much efficient, but the fishes are actually not very much calorie based. For means what it means, that the same amount of calorie to obtain from fish, we require humongous amount of fish, a large amount of fish, as compared to that of the plant based diet. That is one of the basic difference also. So every single year we will be using out 2.5 quadrillion. Let me show you what it actually measures in the terms of number. 2.5 quadrillion in number. Okay, let me show you. This is what the number is, 2.5 quadrillion. You are seeing here 2, 5 and followed by 3, 3, 6, 9, 12 and 14 0, means 2.5 into 10 to the power 15. And let me show you the actual number here. Commercial wild caught fishing, including bottom trawling. Bottom trawling, what it means, you know, bottom trawling is one of the very bad process. Let me show you. Bottom trawling, here it means trawling is an industrial fishing method that involves dragging a large cone-shaped net throughout the water. This is what it is. Let me show you. Look here, this net is just pulled out on the ocean floor, and it is completely tough for the animals that are living in the sea. A single tow causes an average 55% reduction in abundance of animals in the trawled area. Conservative estimates say that 23% of the trawling catch is bycatch waste. Bottom trawling has destroyed 50% of the BC's unique ancient gas sponge reefs. One observer reported that after 1200 days at a sea, the ships he was on underreported by catch was 3 million lbs. Means it's completely bad. Bottom trawling is one of the very bad process. It is very much tough. Here we are talking about this number exists because trawling violently strips the densest microhabitats on the earth. Just to I have already discussed about trawling shrimp or bottom feeders. So this is the amount that we will be killing out, including the biomasses. I have counted out approximate number that actually comes out in terms of the biomasses. That what here I have written, since 2. I have being very much neutral, I have covered all the aspects. Since 2.5 quadrillion is the number of the total number of the insects that would be killed when everyone on this planet goes on to the plant-based diet. What will be the actual number when everyone goes on to the fish diet? I know that the fish available total will not last more than a month, but still, how many deaths will it toll in that case? This is a brilliant thought experiment. You already know the biological reality. The oceans would be completely stripe-mined and ecologically dead within a matter of weeks. But if we suspend reality and pretend the ocean that had an infinite supply of fish, calculating the math reveals just how staggering the death toll would be. To find the true number, we have to calculate how much we would need to scale up the current fishing industry to feed 8.1 billion humans. 100% wild caught fish diet means we are just completely relying on the fish based diet, and then multiply the death toll by the factor, the caloric math. Why the multiplier is so huge? The primary issue is the 100% fish diet is that fish are incredibly lean. Unlike calorie dense crops like wheat, rice or soy, fish provide very few calories per kilogram. You can study it out. What I want to tell is here the death toll math. If we take the current marine death toll we established, which includes targeted fish, macro bycatch and the microscopic insects of the sea, benthic invertebrates crushed by trawlers, and multiplied by 164, the number becomes, here it means, here I have not told, because fish are only 50% edible meat, the rest is bones, guts and the, let me tell you, let me show you, wait for a while. Because fish are only 50% edible meat, the rest is bones, guts and scales, we would have to pull roughly 14.8 billion metric tons of whole fish out of the ocean annually to feed out the humans who are living on the complete fish-based diet. Currently, the entire global commercial fishing catches about 90 million metric tons. This is what we need, and this is what is getting done currently. Tons of wild seafood a year. This means to feed a world entirely on fish, we would have to scale up the global fishing. We will have to scale up. That will also require the resources in turn. I am not counting about the resources altogether. And bottom trawling industry by a multiplier of 164. The death toll math. Now 164 is what it sounds logical for you. If we take the current marine death toll we established, which includes targeted fish macro I already discussed, we will have to multiply it by 164. The number becomes almost incomprehensible. Current annual marine deaths 4.9 quintillion. Multiplier for 100% fish based diet into 164. Total hypothetical deaths 800 quadrillion individual lives per year. The final comparison, when you put, I will also be showing you 800 quintillion in numbers. Let me show you so that you can compare properly. 800 quintillion in numbers. Look, total zeros 28 into 10 to the power 19, and this is 2.5 into 10 to the power 15. The difference is obviously very much visible. Obviously very much visible. This is what it sounds logical. So 100% plant-based world, 2.5 quadrillion deaths annually. 100% wild fish world, this much amount of deaths annually in terms of quadrillion. Nearly, I think 1,000, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, lakh, 8 lakh quadrillion, 2.5 quadrillion, 8 lakh quadrillion deaths annually. If humanity attempted to survive entirely on a wild caught fish to spare the insects in agricultural field, we would end up causing over 3 lakh times more death every single year. The math conclusively proves that feeding humans directly from plant remains the most mathematically efficient and least destructive way to generate calories, even when counting every microscopic bug. I think you must have understood this. I have shown you every single resource, this is what I take. Overfishing threatens reefs. Healthy coral reefs are vital for fisheries. This is all I have discussed about. I have discussed about every single thing that I could accumulate out, and this is how my research has been. I guess it's completely illogical now to say that we can survive on the fish-based diet because it hides a lot many things. It has a loophole, and that is why most people say that it is better way to survive, it is better way to live. But my dear friend, believe me, that's not better way. That's completely illogical and much brutal as compared to that of the plant-based diet. But at the very end, I will say the logic and all are just one part of the math. The other part of the math is nothing else other than that of the compassion. Compassion is very much important. In Hindi we call it karuna. It is very much important because as a human we have been developed in the way to survive, not to kill anyone just for our better self. No. Today in this modern world we are having abundance of resources that can be used to foster in any direction, and that particular resource I'm talking is about agricultural resources. And I have already discussed that we will having humongous amount of decrement in the amount of the overall agricultural arable land. We do not need them all because that's getting used just for feeding ourselves in an indirect way, either through meat, either through pigs, any else, or in terms of the fish and all animals consume. I have already spoken about that 70% of the soy is only consumed by humans, and 70 to 80% of the soy is consumed only using the livestock. I am recording out the screen here, so that is why it is very much difficult for me to jump into some pages, but if I could jump it, I can also show you the amount of every single thing. But I think that's enough. Nothing is enough at the end. It's completely up to you. To be very much logical and think about that why it is less important now to kill the animals, and more important it is for us to survive using the compassion, using inner understanding and all those things. That's all. Thank you a lot.